In this lecture segment, we are talking about Neoclassicism in the 18th century and early 19th century. We'll focus on two paintings that use this new style. Neoclassicism as a style emerges out of the academic tradition as an outgrowth of the abiding classicism of Poussin. The pivot from the more light-hearted, elegant Rococo style to the meaningful, often intense neoclassical style, in part derives from the Enlightenment era. Intellectuals like Rousseau and Hobbes stressed the importance of morality in producing a stable, functioning society, and doing one's duty, especially in fulfilling traditional gender roles. And thinkers, artists, and architects turned to the stories and visual language of classical antiquity to create works of art with moralizing and didactic content. The discovery of Herculaneum and Pompeii, two ruined Roman cities, and archaeological excavations at those sites flooded the popular press with reports and books that inspired a turn towards the classical in dress, in literature, and in art. In antiquity, people of the Enlightenment age found subjects that expressed the type of turn to morality that they felt was necessary to correct the state of society at that time. Neoclassicism in painting typically depicts a story from antiquity with a moral and draws on the antique in subject matter and architectural language, and stresses figure drawing, sculptural figures with clear edges, anatomy, and linear paint handling that hides brushstrokes. Neoclassicism, or the New Classical, found expression in architecture, sculpture, decorative arts, and painting. If you spent any time in Washington, D.C., you've been surrounded by Neoclassicism, a style seen as the perfect expression of identity for the newly founded United States. When l'Abbé Guillard proposed lifting the cap on women artists accepted to the French Academy, a very powerful artist opposed her proposal, Jacques-Louis David, the poster child for Neoclassicism. Jacques-Louis David entered the Academy when he was 18 years old and won the Prix de Rome on his fourth try and headed south to soak up all things Italian. Before his immersion in the classical and Renaissance in Rome, David worked in a more Rococo style, but after Rome, his style pivots to something closer to Poussin, with a deep devotion to figure drawing, classical subject matter, and making works of art about honor and devotion to country. I've included two quotes from him for you to pause and read. He stresses the importance of the depiction of figures as if they are sculpture, and in the essential role of art in educating the people and inspiring patriotism. In 1785, he painted this work, The Oath of the Horatii, and he chose to paint it in Rome to heighten his immersion in the antique. This huge painting shows full-size figures set within an illusionistic space, like that described by Alberti in Florence in the 15th century. It is a window on the world. When you stand in front of it, you feel that you can climb up into it and enter the scene, an extension of space bound by the frame. David uses linear perspective, building the perspectival construction, using the orthogonals of the floor, with the vanishing point here at the hand of this male figure, directing the viewer's attention to the apex of this triangular shape. David uses architecture to structure the composition and the space, dividing the composition into three sections that correspond with the three groups of figures, creating a rational, ordered composition with clear structure that makes the scene readable and understandable. The figures populating this image are treated in a sculptural fashion, showing David's training in figure drawing and his practice of using countless sketches to work out the positions for his figures, sketching them nude and then adding clothing and drapery to reveal the body. He creates figures with hard edges and clear contours, epitomizing the disegno we talked about with Michelangelo and Poussin. He carefully hides his brushstrokes, painting in a linear fashion, with hidden brushstrokes, creating a pristine, smooth, polished surface. He uses architecture and symmetry to construct the scene and mathematical perspective. And he shows a theatrical story from antiquity that has a moral. All of these qualities epitomize neoclassical art. The subject matter of this painting is a story from Roman history. Rome is battling Alba and decide that instead of having their armies fight, they will have two groups of three warriors fight to determine the winner of the war. Three men from the Roman Horatii family, the three you see here, fight three brothers from the Alban Curatii family. The scene from the story shown depicts the three Horatii brothers swearing an oath to their father to fight for Rome. This really important moment in the story, the catalyst for the violent events that will follow. The men are shown with these sculptural bodies, down to the last toe joint, with strong diagonals. The women, by contrast, are depicted using curvilinear lines with weaker forms. Men are active, women are passive, as they express the emotions and the inherent loss of this situation. As one of the women is the sister of a curatii, but wife to a horatii, so no matter what, she will lose a brother or a husband. One of the other sisters is engaged to a curatii, and her fiancé is killed in the battle, and she is upset. So her brother kills her for an act of disloyalty to country. So this is a story about choosing to be loyal to country over family and over personal interests. It was commissioned by the French royal family in an effort to show that they understand the message of the Enlightenment. Enlightenment thought included the seeds of revolution, that the primary role of government is to serve the people, a social contract, and if government is not serving the people and fulfilling the key responsibilities of government, that government should be overthrown. The French royal family hoped this work would show their support of Neoclassicism and the morals the style embodied, patriotism, service, and loyalty to country, but it backfires. When it is shown at the Salon of 1785, the painting does not speak of the royal family's loyalty to France, but instead of their betrayal of France and its people with their lavish lifestyle and ignorance of the awful situation of the people. It becomes a banner image for the revolution and is taken as an oath of loyalty to overthrow the French monarchy. Neoclassical style becomes the style of the French Revolution, and David becomes the painter of the Revolution. The French royal family tried to show that they learned the lessons of the Enlightenment and were not as morally bankrupt as they appeared. This depiction of Queen Marie Antoinette by Vigée Lebrun, a female artist who was admitted to the Academy the same year as l'Abbé Guillard, was supposed to help the queen appear like a committed and loving mother, to make her approachable and like the women of France, instead of a privileged, out-of-touch, greedy queen. The artist uses aspects of neoclassical style, like the grand setting and classical language, the smooth surface, and gives the portrait an inherent morality by showing the queen as a good mother, but mixed with a heavy dose of Rococo in the clothing and aristocratic subject matter. The work of art was an attempt to appeal to Enlightenment virtues, to tamp down the negative press the Queen received. This is shown at the 1787 Salon, but revolutionary fervor continues to build. The French Revolution is a dramatic and turbulent period of time. The people of Paris head to Versailles and take custody of King Louis XVI and Queen Marie Antoinette, imprison them, and eventually execute them. You see David's sketch of the Queen on the way to her fate. Revolutionary leaders constantly change, and David paints for them all, using his training and his abiding neoclassicism to support the revolution. Eventually, military leader Napoleon Bonaparte takes control from the revolutionary government, having himself crowned Holy Roman Emperor and using the military to control areas outside of France. Here you see David's equestrian portrait of Napoleon. Neoclassicism will also be the style of Napoleon's reign, as it helped to legitimize his rule by linking him to the classical past and to other emperors.